Hey, guess what? I might have to go back to the old future head coach Aaron Glenn bit soon.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and the #1 sports podcast network on a Tuesday, January 27th and a Wednesday, January 28th. Thank you for being with us. Quick shout out right away. You see the sweatshirt, Saints Nation. Shout out to my guy, John Fairley from St. Clair College in Windsor. I am a big slap for AM 800's morning show. CKLW, Mike and Meg, they're always repping and talking about St. Clair College, Saints Nation. And John Fairley is a big Locked On Lions everyday listener. Thank you, John. John's buddies with George Blaha. He's buddies with Sean Belizean. He's buddies with all these Detroit luminaries. And he sent me this Saints Nation sweatshirt, and we are repping it today right here if you're watching on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Coming up today, call of the day. We're bringing it back. If you want to be our call of the day, it is very simple. Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Dery podcast page. Leave it about a minute long. Don't swear. We'll play it on the show. A massive story in the NFL that has just broken this evening. Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I swear I'm not making this up. This might be the dumbest-ish of all time. We will get into that. Senior Bowl. There's a guy that the Lions are going to look at everybody at the Senior Bowl, but there's a player down in Mobile that I truly believe the Lions should have some interest in. I will bring his name up coming up momentarily. Our guy, Brett Whitefield from Fantasy Points, we are exchanging texts. I'm going to get him on the show tomorrow, Thursday. We'll talk Senior Bowl with him one of these next 2 days, I promise. Brett knows all the college scouting stuff. We'll get him on shortly. But we begin with the news of the day. And look, the Lions just keep adding bald assistant coaches. That's the funny bit around Allen Park right now. Drew Petzing, bald. Mike Kafka, bald. All right. Now someone needs to shave Tanner Engstrand's head and bring him back to the Motor City. What on earth is going on in New Jersey with the Jets? And our buddy, our former defensive coordinator, the man I used to dub future head coach, Aaron Glenn. Is Aaron Glenn going to get fired? Like, what is happening? The latest today is Glenn has fired Tanner Engstrand, whom he brought from Detroit to New York to be his offensive coordinator, a guy that was up for the Lions OC job, only to leave with AG first to head to the swamps of New Jersey to be the offensive coordinator for the Jets. And now 23 days after the Jets' last game, where the season has ended, Aaron Glenn has fired him. Aaron Glenn has fired 7 assistant coaches. He has not replaced Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator yet. And it's a complete dumpster fire. The whole season was bad. They didn't even have one interception the whole year. And now Tanner Engstrand, who was so beloved in Allen Park and really, really liked inside that building. And the Engstrand wife was friends with Holly Campbell and Ben Johnson's wife. And everybody was like buddy here, the Fraleys and all this stuff. And Tanner gets this opportunity to go from passing game coordinator for the Lions to OC. And 23 days after the season's over, he gets fired. With reports out there that Frank Reich, who was like acting interim coach for Stanford last year, helping Andrew Luck out, doing him a favor, could be the next play caller for the Jets, former head coach, of course, of the Indianapolis Colts. What a bizarre situation. And if you're the Lions, we talked about it yesterday. You have brought in Mike Kafka, reportedly, to be like a special assistant coach. You've got Drew Petzing, your new offensive coordinator, comes over from Arizona. Now Tanner Engstrand's looking for work. And look, there are plenty of offensive coordinator openings. If any of these other teams out there are willing to take a look at Tanner Engstrand right now, the Eagles have an opening. The Giants, the Broncos, the Browns, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Bills. All right. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 openings right now, with 8 already being filled at offensive coordinator. And by the way, looking at the OC hires so far, like Drew Petzing's our guy, right? Brian Daboll today became the OC in Tennessee. Mike McDaniel officially announced with Jim Harbaugh in LA. Eric Bieniemy's going back to Kansas City. Bobby Slowick, who they got run out of town in Houston, is the Dolphins' new OC with Jeff Hafley. David Blau, of course, with the Commanders. Tommy Rees goes from Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski to Atlanta. A little game of buddy ball down there at the ATL. And Zach Robinson goes from the Falcons to the Bucs to work alongside Baker Mayfield. I look at all these names. And look, I was a Daboll fan. Obviously, I was all for Mike McDaniel if the Lions wanted to make that move. But I'm not sitting there going, oh, man, I wish the Lions got Zach Robinson or Tommy Rees, David Blau, Bobby Slowick. I'm warming to the Drew Petzing hire here in Detroit, especially with everything that he has done in the run game with a healthy James Conner, with a healthy Kyler Murray, and some offensive linemen that can actually block out in Arizona. But what a wild offseason so far in the NFL. And for a guy like Aaron Glenn, who really, as the years wore on here in Detroit, he really took a terrible defense from 2021 with a bunch of no-name guys and having to start like Bobby Price and guys like that at cornerback. And just, it was a terrible defense to start the rebuild in 2021. And he took that defense and made it into something and had it in the top 15 and had it competing in playoff games. And you knew eventually he was going to get his opportunity to be a head coach. He wasn't as good as Ben Johnson, but he was up for assistant coach of the year. And I remember there was a players poll a couple of years ago that said that which assistant coach the players want to play for the most. And Aaron Glenn had won it. And now he goes to the Jets. They have a disaster of a season. And now he is being firing assistant coaches. Guys, Tanner Engstrand, he brought with him. They had a prior relationship. He's firing him 3 weeks after the season was over. It is beyond bizarre. But again, this is what I talk about all the time with the Lions. Stability, good ownership, good leadership. All right. You go look at the very top and look at a guy like Chris Spielman and what he brings to the table and what Brad Holmes has done and Dan Campbell. All right. And they've made their mistakes. We talked about John Morton. Okay. But what a circus in New York with the Jets. I mean, you wonder if Woody Johnson, the owner, and Mike McCagan, the GM, it wouldn't stun me if in the next week somehow they go, you know what? This is too big of a mess. Let's just cut our losses now and fire Aaron Glenn. Nothing would surprise me, which, makes no sense because it's January 27th and the Jets season was over January 3rd, January 4th. It's crazy. But Tanner Engstrand, would you bring him back to Detroit? I would. Like I said yesterday with Mike Kafka. Why not? There are 7 zillion assistant coaches on these staffs and special assistants and quality control and run game coordinator and pass game coordinator and this and that and water boy coordinator. Bring him back. He did a great job as pass game coordinator just 2 years ago. Find a spot for him. I mean, I'm rooting for him to get one of these other OC jobs. You never know. But just shave his head and add him to the staff with Petzing and Kafka. All right. Coming up next, let's do the business and discuss Senior Bowl fits. Yes, there's a player at the Senior Bowl that I think could fit the Lions and could be a day 3, possibly day 2 draft pick for this football team. And he is in Mobile right now. We will talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. But first, Locked On Lions today, brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app. Yes, who's looking for tickets right now? NBA tickets. Pistons are balling. They don't lose. All right. You want to go down to the LCA, see the Stones, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Pulled up the Game Time app, picked out an upcoming NBA game. Looking where the Pistons are playing right now. You get tickets locked in within minutes, all right? You love seeing the all-in price up front. No surprise fees at checkout. And the view from your seat is my favorite thing, all right? Before you buy, it makes the decision easy to see where you are sitting. Great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. And the Locked On Lions also today is sponsored by FanDuel. Yes, it's last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday in a couple of weeks. One last kickoff. Final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, Seattle, riding with the underdog, New England, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everybody's been waiting for. All right, it's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, you bet just $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome back in, everybody. Matt Dery with you. It is a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. We have told you about our Everydayer Club for a couple of weeks. I'm going to make it very, very simple. All right. If you are an everyday listener and an everydayer to Locked On Lions, we appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We are #1. Check out Locked On Red Wings, Beat Fish, Locked On Pistons with Koo, Scotty, Locked On Tigers, all of it. But if you want to be a Locked On Lions Everydayer Club member, it is simple. Sign up. LockedOnLions.supercast.com. Join us on our chat on the Discord. You get ad-free shows, all of it on the Everydayer Club. All right, please check it out. All right, Senior Bowl is going on in Mobile, Alabama. Also the Shrine Game as well. So college all-star games happening this entire weekend. And there's a guy that is at the Senior Bowl right now that I think the Lions need to take a good, hard, long look at. And he's an offensive lineman. He has played center. He has played tackle. And he was given the SEC's top lineman award this year, along with Alabama's Caden Proctor. And that is Texas A&M left tackle / center, Trey Zuhn. Now, a lot of you are going to go, who's that? Here's the thing I like about Trey Zuhn. Like I said, played center a lot, moved to left tackle this year, and thrived. You put him wherever you want. He played on a Texas A&M team that won. He is an SEC offensive lineman, which we know Brad Holmes, Lions general manager, adores. All right. Took Tate Ratledge last year. And Trey Zuhn can really play. All right. He had the nation's best pass blocking grade during the regular season, according to Pro Football Focus. And he's got short arms and is likely not going to go until the second day in the second or third round, or possibly even in the fourth round on day 3. So you don't have to spend first round. Trey Zuhn is not somebody you're going to be drafting at 17. Mel Kiper Jr. has him like the 9th best interior offensive lineman on his list right now. So there's other guys that might fit better in terms of if you're drafting at 17 or in the second round. But here's the other thing about Trey Zuhn that I found interesting in doing my research on him and why I like him. He was doing an interview before the playoff game when A&M faced Miami, and they asked him about going up against Ruben Bain. And Trey Zuhn's like, I don't think it's going to be a big problem. I don't think we have to worry about it. Now, Ruben Bain ended up getting 3 sacks in the game. Ruben Bain's a monster. But Zuhn was so confident, he just kind of said, I don't think it'll be a big deal. And they used it as bulletin board material. And, of course, Bain ate him for lunch in that game. So maybe that turns some of you off. I like the kid's confidence. He's got a little edge to him. And I watched part of the interview, and it wasn't like he was being cocky. He was just kind of like, we'll deal with it. I don't think it'll be a big issue. And that got back to Bain and stuff. But Trey Zuhn is at the Senior Bowl. Like I said, SEC lineman of the year, along with Alabama's Caden Proctor, who could be there at number 17. You get Caden Proctor at 17. You can get Trey Zuhn maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. But look him up, Zuhn from Texas A&M, winning player, can play center, can play left tackle. You can put him anywhere, and he's solid. Short arms and size are the biggest issues for him as to why some of these pro scouts don't love him. We will ask Brett Whitefield about him when we get Brett on the show this week. So keep an eye on that. All right, big news around the NFL, and I gotta bring this up. I know it's Locked On Lions, but I have to. Bill Belichick, 8-time Super Bowl winning head coach, 6 times as a head coach, 2 times as a defensive coordinator, is not going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. He is not a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Per ESPN, Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. He won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. 6. Oh, but he had Tom Brady and he cheated. Spygate, Deflategate. 6. How is he not a first ballot Hall of Famer? What are we doing? If you hate the Patriots, or you think he cheated, or you don't like Belichick because he was grumpy and now he's coaching a bad ACC school, do you know how hard it is to win? I don't have to tell you. We share in this. I grew up in Cleveland. I'm now a Lions fan. You guys are Lions fans. It's impossible to get there. Guy got there like 10 times. 11 times. Well, I think he was in 11 Super Bowls, right? Won it 8 times, twice as a defensive coordinator with the Giants, 6 with the Patriots, and he's not getting in on the first ballot? What are we doing? Now, reports are indicating that former Colts general manager Bill Polian is the man telling the voters not to put him in right away and to make him wait a year due to the Spygate and Deflategate. So the Patriots-Colts rivalry from 20 years ago is being rekindled here because Bill Polian, allegedly and reportedly, is telling the voters, and the voters listened, because he did not get the 40 out of 50 votes needed for first ballot induction. Here's the thing. I do this all the time with the Baseball Hall of Fame. And Tiger fans, I know, are going to get mad at me. Lou Whitaker, what about sweet Lou? The Detroit Tigers, it took them like 25 years just to retire his number and give him some flowers. To me, it's simple. When you're eligible for Hall of Fame, the voters are there. You pick the guys that are eligible, and then that's it. Bill Belichick, is Bill Belichick a Hall of Famer? Yes, of course he is. So put him in. Oh, we're going to make him wait a year. He's not a first ballot guy. Like when didn't Mariano Rivera not get in on the first ballot? The dumbest stuff of all time. The greatest closer ever. Now let's make him wait a year. No, you're either in or you're not. This is so stupid. When I saw this story, I thought it was a fake Adam Schefter tweet when he put this out there. Nope, it's real. Bill Belichick denied for the first year. Just some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen. All right, coming up next, we will do a call of the day and hear from one of our everyday listeners right here on Locked On Lions, the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. Get ready for this next commercial, voiced by yours truly. Hey, it's Matt Dery from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary. And Locked On Lions today also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. The big game is almost here. There's no better way to stay locked into every moment than with Prize Picks. All right, the daily fantasy app where it always feels good to be right. It does. It always feels good to be right at Prize Picks. With football season coming to its final stretch, you got to get in on the action. It's a perfect time. 2 weeks, the big game. Prize Picks makes watching the game even more exciting by letting you build simple lineups around player stat projections. No drafting, no waiting, just football all the way through the playoffs here. Prize Picks, incredibly easy to get started. Here's what you do. You pick 2 or more players and choose more or less on their projections. All right. If you think Ramondre Stevenson, if I can even speak today, is going to go for 70 yards or more, you can put money on that on Prize Picks. Sam Darnold, passing yards. You can do that. All for the big game. Favorite feature, early payouts, which lets you cash out if a player gets off to a very hot start. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, my friends, it is time for call of the day. If you want to be our call of the day, it is simple. Go to speakpipe.com, speakpipe.com/Dery, Dery podcast page. And you too can be on the program if you leave a voicemail. Keep it about a minute, no swearing, and we will play it on the show. Our man Jason is checking in today with our call of the day. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Matt, now that we know who the Super Bowl teams are going to be this year, I just want something to sink in for all the Lions fans out there, and particularly the Jared Goff haters, because Sam Darnold does not run. He is a pocket passer. He is as immobile as Jared Goff. And yet he is taking his team not only to the Super Bowl, but year one with the team, taking them to the Super Bowl. So I think that proves that even in the modern era, NFL, whatever you want to call it, you can get to the Super Bowl with a quarterback like Jared Goff. And frankly, Jared Goff is objectively a better passer than Sam Darnold. So instead of People just complaining about Jared Goff. Oh, if we had Josh Allen, we'd be in the Super Bowl. Give me a break. Let's evaluate rather what the Seahawks are doing to accentuate the strengths of their team, the strengths of their quarterback, and how we can improve the Lions, rather than thinking that if we just had this different quarterback, our situation would be different, because that's just baloney.
All right, Jason, thank you for the call there and being our call of the day. It is an interesting debate, and there are some people right now that have watched Sam Darnold in the playoffs and say, some, not me, but there are some that say, I take Sam Darnold over Jared Goff. He has had back-to-back tremendous seasons. Again, Sam Darnold is out of Minnesota because in week 18 of last year, 2024 season, the Lions absolutely embarrassed him. All right. They turned him into soup. And then the next week in the playoff game against the Rams, played in Arizona, it was even worse. And the Vikings said, you know what? We drafted J.J. McCarthy. Let's give him a shot. We won't pay Darnold. Seahawks did, and they're paying off, and it's paying off. But Jason's point is spot on. You can win. You absolutely can win with a stationary quarterback, as long as you got a run game, which we saw Kenneth Walker, my God. Charbonnet, my goodness. We saw the pass game. We saw how good that offensive line is. Were any of you watching Gray Zabel, the rookie, the other day at left guard? A guy I wanted the Lions to draft. He's awesome. Seattle has built an excellent offensive line through the draft. Zabel's one of them. And they've given Darnold time. He's got solid tight ends. He's got the receiving core, again, led by JSN, making one-handed catches. And yes, he's going to the Super Bowl. He's going to the big game. And yeah, he can't move. But yet he had such a great year, and he's leading them to that charge. So Jason bringing up the point of any fans that we can't win the game with Jared. We can't get to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff because he can't move. You might not like Goff's ability, but yes, Jason's right. The point has been proven that Darnold got there in the tougher conference by being a guy that doesn't run around ever. He is kind of a sitting duck back there. But he's had a great year. He's been protected, and he can sling the rock. That'll do it for us here on Locked On Lions. It's been a Tuesday edition. We appreciate you making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget, Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network. Subscribe to our YouTube page as well. And a shout out to my guy, John Fairley, and the folks at St. Clair College in Windsor. Saints Nation. Appreciate the swag. Talk to you tomorrow.